Now, Dame Jacqueline Wilson is the creative genius behind some of Britain's favourite children's and young adult stories. The likes of Tracy Beaker, Double Act and Girls in Love have countless fans. She often tackles difficult themes. And her latest book is no different. Baby Love is about young girls who were forced to give up their babies in the 1960s. Well, I spoke to her earlier and she told me about her experience of knowing girls who were sent away.
At the time, I was so appalled that girls who, generally they were quite naive girls who didn't really know what they were up to. And then in those days, there was such shock horror that even the most loving families would send their daughters away so nobody would find out, though we all knew. And they were sent to these mother and baby homes where there was immense emotional blackmail to these young, vulnerable girls. The best thing for your baby is to give it up for adoption. And really, they didn't have any other choice. It seemed important nowadays that young people would see what it was like, and that many young people feel that the 60s were this time of, miniskirts.
Yes,
Beatles,
well, I was going to say that for those of us who weren't
love.
there, we think of Mick Jagger and Carnaby Street,
Yep.
but it was a time of fear and intolerance, wasn't it?
At the beginning, it was so different. And then after, I suppose, about 1963, when the Beatles' first pop record came out and things got a little bit wilder. Well, they did in London for little suburban teenagers.
Yeah.
I don't think they really did. But it was a time of just not knowing what you're doing and really people being so quick to condemn. I mean, keeping respectable was the thing that everybody wanted. And I'm not against respectability, but it did have its really sad consequences for many young girls. And I mean, think of the women now my age who, no matter how happy their life has been and their marriages, they would possibly have had many more children, but there must still be an aching gap thinking about that firstborn child and what might be happening to it now. I think people ought to know. And so I wrote this story. And yet, I also felt, I mean, it's got a lot of the ingredients, great emotion and girls all getting together and being funny and silly in spite of their circumstances and all dancing together in spite of great big tummies and then actually helping each other. And I mean, my girl really doesn't have much clue about having a baby and think, she'll lie back and it might hurt a little bit and that's that. And it comes as a tremendous shock to her. I would like to add that there's no really graphic scenes, so that it's aimed at people of 12 plus, but it's not going to horrify any young teenagers. Well, I hope it wouldn't anyway.
It's got all the classic Jacqueline Wilson elements that we know from Tracy Beaker. I mean, those books are so successful still, aren't they? I mean, they will be forever.
I mean, I always say, God bless Tracy Beaker. And I mean, the television series that ran and ran and ran, and now we have Tracy as a mum, and I've written books about being Tracy Beaker's daughter. I mean, when I wrote that book, I had absolutely no idea that it would have a life of its own and carry on like that. And I'm just so thrilled that it happened.
Great to talk to you, and thank you very much indeed, Dame. I know you don't like saying Dame, but Dame Jacqueline Wilson, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.